It's a perfect day to remind myself to feel I'm always busy pushing rocks uphill with a pillowcase over my head. Couldn't see that this might be the best time of my life. The holidays and weekends came and went, but all my energy was spent, and that's why it's hard for me to remember that this might be the best time of my life. This might be the best time of my life. And I never meant to take you for granted. Habit is the enemy of presence. But the days, they all just started getting blurry on me. Mama says it's best not to complain, or all the good things will go away. Hard times will teach a person perspective. You never know if this might be the best time of your life. Inside me I come from millions of years of apes, and they all just wanna come out and play. What's wrong with wanting to be a simple man? Is the enemy of presence. But the days, they all just started getting blurry on me.
Has been really transformative overall, not only because I've gained so many amazing skills, which I'm sure you've heard about today, but because it's where I discovered my love of politics and economics, and that has changed what I see myself doing in the future. And that's crazy to think about looking back, that had I not been an extemp, I might not be going into the field that I want to be going into. And that's what speech can kind of do for you sometimes. So my advice for everyone moving forward is that you shouldn't take yourself too seriously. You really, really want to have fun while you're doing this. It's a lot of time and a lot of years of your life. For me, it was 4. So that's my advice. Be a good teammate, put in the work, but when you look back, you're going to remember how you felt and the times that you had. So I want everybody to end up looking back and have fun.
Saying goodbye. Hi, I'm Sam Padmanabhan. And I think the first thing talking about what speech means to me is speech means so many things, but I think overall it means being a part of something bigger, being a part of a broader community. In speech, everyone first has a place where they can find a part of themselves, but more importantly, we all combine to create a collective, a group of Eastridge speech, and even broader the Minnesota and national speech communities. Everyone brings something to the table, and understanding that even just one person, if they weren't on the team, that would completely change the dynamic of our team and even the state of Minnesota speech and even beyond that. Because every single person is important in contributing to the speech environment and the speech experience. And so to me, understanding that community aspect has been super important. But then next, moving on to the biggest piece of advice, I would offer two pieces of advice. The first piece of advice is to look at speech as a narrative, not as individual stories. Looking at speech as each year that you're in speech, whether it be 4 or 5 or even less than that, understanding that it's all about where you started and where you ended, not necessarily what happens in between. Because the reality is that everyone, and I know this from my own speech experience, it was all about chasing the next win and trying to be the best speech competitor I can be. And while that's admirable, it's important to put your best foot forward. The reality is that a lot of times you can't control what happens winning or losing. So just focusing on building up skills, getting to that next step, and moving on and progressing and seeing improvement week to week is so important. But then the next piece of advice is something that I learned from one of the earlier speech captains a few years ago. Is basically, it's a pretty simple statement. The reality is that when all is said and done, we're not going to remember how each individual round went, the ranks we got, or the trophies we won. But instead, we're going to remember the cool things we did, the skills we learned, and the amazing people that we met along the way. Because speech is a journey, and it's important to understand what you were trying to get out of that journey. And the things we can get out are not just things that are going to collect dust on a shelf in a few years, but instead things that can be translated into real-life skills and real-life relationships. And I definitely think that keeping that in mind and having that perspective is super important. And that's really all I have to say. Thanks.
Michael May. I was a discussant on the Eastridge speech team for 4 years, and to me speech is about being able to come together with people to work on practice and do things that you wouldn't do in other situations. And those people don't have to be people you've known before, and they don't have to be people from Eastridge. And my advice to incoming speech students would be to lean into that. Get to know and interact with and have a great time with all of the people you can and will meet throughout your speech experience. Because there's a lot of them, and I always wished that I had started getting to know people sooner.
My name is Eric Pearson, and what speech really means to me is just being able to find new people and make new experiences. Whether those people are just on the speech team by itself or statewide at the different meets or speech tournaments that we go to. And advice that I would have for someone joining the speech team in the future would be just to put in as much effort as you want to get out of it, because speech is really kind of like a self-driven activity, and your coaches are there to help you and support you, but really at the end of the day what you put into it is exactly what you're going to get out of it. And the more you put in, like I said, the more you get out. So when I started putting in more effort, I started finding myself having a lot more fun and being able to make more friends and taking it more seriously. And it's almost exponential to me on how much I got out of it.
Hi, I'm Megan Horan, and what speech means to me, it means late nights in Upper Gold, spending more time in Eastridge than you ever had the desire to, and it means driving home in the district vans and laughing until your sides hurt with Alex Carlson about something that probably won't be funny the next day, and it means feeling stupid every time we did Pass the Scream in warm-ups because you always screamed weird. And it means all of you guys. You guys are the largest, weirdest, most chaotic family I've ever had, and I love each and every one of you so much. As for my advice, I know everyone's been saying that it's not about the awards or the trophies, and it's not. I stand by that. However, I know that it's frustrating to not get that success when it feels like everyone around you is. So my biggest advice is keep fighting, because you are learning more from every failure than you ever could from a success, and learning those lessons will get you into that final round, and when you do, it will feel so good because you earned it and you fought for it. So keep fighting for it. You will get to where you want to go, I promise. So yeah, I love you guys. Good luck next year.
To the gods of tame is courage. You're standing in front of a room of people and talking about what means the most to you, so that takes a lot of bravery. For advice for other students, I would say don't take it too seriously and make friends. And while those may sound a little cheesy, it's true. If you rely on awards and trophies to get happiness from speech, you're not always going to be happy. And honestly, the skills that you're learning and gaining are going to outlive those trophies by far. Also, don't be intimidated by competitors. They're your friends. Make friends. It's a lot more fun when you're competing against people you know and like than just a scary competitor. So have fun with the activity. That's my main advice.
Hi
Hi speech team, I just wanted to come out here and film my video for answering the senior questions. So first going to talk about what speech has meant to me. Speech has been an amazing opportunity for me to make some great friends, develop some really special and important public speaking skills, as well as really get a message out there, being able to talk every week about things that are important to me, stuff that matters to me. My advice for future speech kids would be really have fun with it. Speech is an opportunity to make friends, and yes, there can be some really important, empowering messages, but it's not all about winning. Just have fun with it, be yourself. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Cam Stevens, and what speech means to me is learning about myself in more ways than I ever could have possibly imagined. I learned so much about my acting style, how I had my own personal voice in any scene that I created and in any scene that I performed, and really anything I wrote too. Creative taught me a lot about learning how to be a writer and learning what makes people laugh and learning what makes people cry and that type of thing. And being in poetry really taught me about the importance of rhythm and the importance of having a tone of voice that people actually want to listen to. And then Poi taught me about how to kind of Frankenstein together a bunch of uncommon ideas to create a common unified story that really taught me a lot about how I can make anything I want if I put my mind to it. And I think that's a really important skill to have. And my advice for future speakers is never stop trying to grow. If you ever feel like you've been put in a place where you don't feel like you can grow and you feel like it's a really odd situation, don't just give up, just keep pushing and pushing to try to find where you lie in an area you didn't think that you could succeed in. And I promise every time, if you put in the effort, you will have great results. And don't focus on all of the winning and everything. Make sure to make friends. Like, some of my best friends that I talk to are people that live literally 4 hours away and I'll probably not see for a good long time now, but it's such an important thing to try to meet new people and gain different perspectives. Like 50% of speech for me was doing actual speeches, and the other 50% was just talking to people that I'd never met before and trying to learn about them, trying to learn what motivates them, how they're affected by this community, and they've given me more advice and more insight than I could ever ask for. So thank you to Eastridge Speech, and thank you to speech as a whole for making me the person I am now.
Speech to me was a way to branch out and make new friends. Little did I know it would end up consuming my entire life for 4 years. From falling asleep on district vans to waking up deaf when Alex would blast Twist and Shout as loud as the van could possibly play it at midnight, speech has been my life for the past 4 years, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Some advice I have is to branch out to other categories. I spent 4 years on the speech team and just never got around to trying any other categories because they weren't safe categories that I knew I would do well in. You have 4 years here, so take it slow, branch out, and learn as much as you can.
One thing that I've learned from speech is how to effectively deal with ups and downs, especially on a short-term basis. I remember when competition season rolled around, it was the first time in my life that I had to deal with defeat, especially on a weekly basis, and even after working incredibly hard. So my advice to you is to go into speech knowing that you're going to win, but also expecting to lose. And even through times of defeat, not to forget about why you joined speech in the first place. And also not to forget about the amazing people and coaches that surround you on a day-to-day basis. Because before you know it, it's gonna all be over. So learn, grow, and accept your wins, but especially your losses.
Not only made me a better speaker, but it has made me a better performer, a better presenter, and honestly, a better person. And it has given me the confidence to achieve things that I never ever dreamed of achieving. So if I had to give advice to someone, it would simply be enjoy it. Enjoy the process, enjoy the tournaments, enjoy the warm-ups, the bus rides, the coaches' practices, the category practices, the drop-ins. Just simply enjoy it and soak it all in, because there's so much more to speech than just the competition. We often get so caught up in that. So really just enjoy the other smaller things and don't take those things for granted. Try to soak them in.